Hey everyone, it's Legitimate Business here with the episode 6, yes, not just any episode 6, the episode 6 of the Rantables Wrestling Podcast. It's been a long time, I know, like almost 5 months, but I figured that since today being March 31st, tomorrow being April 1st, not the focus of which being April Fool's Day, but the focus being Wrestlemania 28, it might as well be time for me to put out one more podcast for you looking at the card for WrestleMania this year and giving my picks for who I think is going to win. So, with that being said, I know that's a great introduction. We're going to dive right in, and I'm going to look at the card from bottom to top. And I'm getting it off Wikipedia, so I'm pretty certain it's accurate. So, we'll start right off with a pre-show match, which is the only match I'll be watching because I'm not going to buy the show because I'm not rich. The pre-show is I believe it is a triple threat tag team match with Epico and Primo, the current tag team champions, taking on the Usos, Jimmy and Jey Uso, and the team of Justin Gabriel and Tyson Kidd. Now, I will be the first to say that the only one to say because I'm the one talking right now. Haha. But I haven't really kept up with the WWE product really much at all over the last year, except for the whole CM Punk storyline, and then I'm occasionally tuning in just to see Punk or Bryan Danielson. But did Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel form a tag team that I didn't know about? Because if they did, that's an awesome tag team, and I would actually watch them. But since it's a pre-show match, I can't really imagine anything important happening. But it's going to be on YouTube for free, so I'll watch it. And I'm expecting a pretty entertaining but fairly short match. And Epico and Primo retaining their titles. I believe it's for the titles, but it doesn't say on Wikipedia, so I believe it is. And if it is, then I'm expecting the current champions to retain. Well, next up we have a quote celebrity end quote involvement with Kelly and Maria Menounos taking on Beth Phoenix and Eve Torres. Now, if my memory serves me correctly, as well as the 5 minutes of research I did before starting this podcast, I don't think a quote celebrity end quote has actually lost a match at WrestleMania in quite some time, if ever. Just at least going back to when I started getting back into wrestling back about 2006. We've had, you had Donald Trump, who wasn't wrestling, but he was involved in a match, and it was a Bobby Lashley versus Umaga, and Lashley won, obviously, and Vince McMahon had his head shaved. And then we also had the quote celebrity. Not really so much celebrities as just non-wrestlers, I guess you could say, because Floyd Mayweather is, I'm not going to say anything about him, but, Floyd Mayweather beating Big Show, and then last year with the reason I stopped watching WWE, Snooki winning a match, or in the trios match, or six-man tag. I call it trios because I'm more used to Chikara, quite honestly. But point is, from my memory, if my memory serves, celebrities don't really lose. Quote celebrities or non-wrestlers or whatever you want to call them tend to not lose at WrestleMania. So I'm picking Kelly and Maria Menounos to win just because they have alliteration in their names, or they should say they have alliterative names. And it doesn't really matter because I don't think there's been a women's match that matters in Vince McMahon's promotion in quite some time. It's unfortunate. All right, next up on the card is the 12-man not Atomicos. I don't think it's an elimination, but it doesn't say 12-man tag match to determine the general manager of both Raw and SmackDown. So we've got Team Teddy Long, which consists of Captain Santino Marella. That still seems like a weird thing to say. R-Truth, Kofi Kingston, Zack Ryder, The Great Khali, and Booker T making his triumphant return to the ring. And all of those guys will be backed up by Hornswoggle, who is apparently going to be taking who is apparently going to be playing the part of the Leprechaun in the Leprechaun reboot series that is being produced by WWE Films. I'm sorry, a piece of me just died right there. Anyway, that team will be taking... It's like I need a stiff drink after thinking about that. They'll be taking on Team Johnny Ace, John Laurinaitis, with Captain David Otunga, who is probably the only person less qualified to lead a team than Santino Marella. Let's see, he will be also teaming with Mark Henry, Dolph Ziggler, Jack Swagger, The Miz, who finally is on the card, and Drew McIntyre. I'm surprised he's still employed with them. And they will have Vicky Guerrero in their corner. Well, let's see. I have only vaguely been keeping track of Raw and SmackDown. Like I said, I only really watch it if CM Punk or Bryan Danielson are involved in anything. So I haven't really been keeping track of this feud, if you want to call it. However, I will say that I will agree with everyone who's ever said that Johnny Ace is the most boring person on the mic. He really is. If this is an elimination match, I think it'd be a lot more entertaining. Something tells me it won't be, just because for some reason Vince apparently doesn't like elimination matches, I guess. I don't know. Whereas I really enjoy elimination style matches. You know, give me a three-way dance or a fatal four-way or something like that. Just as long as it's elimination style rules, I'm happy with that. But if it's just going to be a straight up 6-on-6 with one pinfall, that's boring. Anyway, so who's going to win this? Just looking at the people involved, I would say that it would probably go to Team Johnny, just because I don't know why anyone would want the Great Khali on a team. It's actually kind of sad, just that he's still wrestling. I mean, I didn't realize that I thought he'd retired like 2 or 3 years ago. That just shows you what I know. But let's see. Just for the sake of going against type, I'm going to pick Team Teddy to win. Just because I would rather have a charismatic general manager than Johnny Ace talking on the microphone ever again. So I'm picking Team Teddy to win in what I would say is probably a pretty big upset, just because I want to see Teddy Long more often, because Teddy Long is awesome. Or at least he was as of the last time I watched any Raw or SmackDown programming. All right, let's see. Next up, we have Randy Orton versus Kane. I don't know how this match came about. I know that Kane returned a few months ago, and instead of attacking... Who was it that took him out? I don't even remember. See, that's the problem with not keeping up with the product, is that I don't remember who... Was it Mark Henry? It was Mark Henry, wasn't it? Right, yeah, that was the whole thing. Because Mark Henry took out Kane, and then Mark Henry is involved in a feud with John Cena, and then Kane returned and attacked John Cena, and everything just went to shit after that. So I don't know why they did that. I don't know why Kane is in a feud with Randy Orton, and I don't care, because I've never really enjoyed Randy Orton as either as a character, as a face or a heel, or as a wrestler. He's just bland to me. He's a lot like The Miz. I mean, except Miz has actually worked his ass off to get in here, whereas Randy Orton is basically grandfathered in, even though he's the grandson of the... Never mind. Point is, this match means absolutely nothing to me, and I couldn't care less who wins either way. So I'm going to pick Randy Orton to win, because he's the face, and for some reason he's popular. I have yet to figure that part out. All right, let's see. Next up, we have Cody Rhodes taking on the Big Show for the Intercontinental Championship. There's one thing I did want to mention very quickly, is that I'm actually a little disappointed in the lack of championship matches on this card. I mean, I know that there were going to be at least 2 matches that were going to be non-title, that were going to be bigger, or at least as important as the title matches. But I would have hoped for at least one more title match. Like, put the tag titles on the card. I mean, when was the last time the tag titles were defended at WrestleMania? I honestly don't know. And I could probably do another 5 minutes of research to figure it out, but I'd rather not. You can correct me if you want. I don't care. But putting 3 title matches on a card with 8 matches plus a pre-show is kind of sad. I'm not expecting I'm not expecting every title to be defended like a Night of Champions things. I just want to see at least 3 or 4 titles defended. At least 4 titles defended, let's say. Both secondary championships, both world championships, whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay. Cody Rhodes taking on Big Show. Cody Rhodes, I believe, is the longest reigning champion in WWE right now. He's held the title for... Hold on, I'm going to look. I'm going to do 10 seconds of research so I can figure out how long he's been holding the title. Hold on, wait for it. I will give you I'll give you the information very shortly. He has held the title since August. Oh, right, that was in a show that I could have gone to. That was a show in August of 2011. He's held the title for August. Let's see, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. Almost 8 months. That's pretty impressive, considering that most title reigns in this day and age last for, 3 months maybe, if you're lucky. But also looking back at the other list of Intercontinental Champions, he's the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion since Shelton Benjamin's first title reign back in 2004. And if Cody Rhodes retains, which is what I'm going to predict, he'll probably have a longer title reign than Shelton, which would mean that the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion before that would have been The Rock back in 1997. Yeah. But hey, you know what? Cody has been, as far as I can recall, he's been doing really well ever since he had that kind of silly gimmick where he was dashing Cody Rhodes. God, how long ago was that? Like a year and a half ago? And then Rey Mysterio kicked him in the face and he broke his nose, and then he thought he was a monster, which I actually thought was going to be a really cool gimmick, but then they just kind of did nothing with it. So I'm predicting Cody Rhodes to retain. No offense to Big Show. He's been good as a face, but really his job is to lose because Cody Rhodes is going to be one of the guys that's going to be the wave of the future for this company. And I look forward to Cody Rhodes being a World Heavyweight Champion at some point. Next up, we have the World Heavyweight Championship match, speaking of World Heavyweight Champions, with Bryan Danielson. I still refuse to call him by that stupid name that they gave him. I refuse to call him that. It's such a stupid name. Sorry. Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon. Not really the American Dragon. He's not the American Dragon. He's just some guy. Taking on Sheamus. Now, I honestly am entirely shocked that Bryan Danielson, almost said the wrong name, I'm shocked that Bryan Danielson has been able to hold the World Heavyweight Championship for as long as he has, or honestly, at all. He's had the title for about 3.5 months or so, ever since he won back at TLC last year. Honestly, I was expecting him to be the first Money in the Bank winner. Actually, no one was expecting him to win Money in the Bank. I wasn't even, but he won, and I was happy for that, for him. But I don't think anyone was expecting him to actually cash in and win the title. I think people were expecting him to cash in and be the first person to lose the Money in the Bank match that they cashed in their briefcase to get the title. Whatever. But he won, and he's held the title for 3.5 months, and he's adopted this vaguely entertaining persona, where he thinks he's better than he is, even though he is actually very good. But you wouldn't be able to tell that from how he's won all of his matches, or a majority of his matches anyway. And he'll be taking on Sheamus, who has one of the worst nicknames I've ever heard, in The Great White. Come on, guys. He's not a shark. He's not a terrible 80s hair metal band that died in a fire. He's an Irish guy. And yes, I'll say that I've actually enjoyed the Sheamus's face persona for the most part. I mean, he's actually more entertaining to watch, which is odd to say considering that I thought he was one of the most boring guys on the roster a year and a half ago, whenever it was, when he was still a heel and when he was a world champion. But he's fairly entertaining as a face. And I have a bad feeling that the title reign of one Bryan Danielson would be coming to an end tomorrow, April 1st. And I'm disappointed in that, but I'm just hoping that this will lead to more world title reigns in the future. That's the hope anyway. Honestly, there's no way to know if that's going to happen. I really hope it happens because I feel like he, of all people, is deserving of that, considering all the crap he's put up with over the last... How long has he been up on the main roster? A couple of years? Let me check. Let me do 5 more seconds of research on the YouTube... not the YouTubes. On the Wikipedias. Let's see. Yeah, I guess it was a couple of years ago when he came up to the main roster on NXT. So I'm hoping that he will have more world title runs in the future. That's my hope. I would also like to see... This is the one thing I was hoping for. I'll talk about this later, actually. Never mind. So we'll talk about that later. So next up we have the WWE title match between CM Punk and Chris Jericho. I've tuned into Raw to see the particular promo. Well, I guess they're promos, but their particular program between Punk and Jericho, and I found it to be awfully distasteful. Just what Jericho's been doing. I know it's a storyline, but I still find it distasteful. And I feel like Jericho's return, I don't know why he returned. It's just I don't really get it. I don't feel like he's really adding anything at this point. I might be wrong, I'm not watching the shows. So, I feel like Punk probably could have had a better opponent. I mean, really, Chris Jericho is... no, I'm not saying that Chris Jericho is bad. He's one of the best wrestlers ever. I'm not discounting Chris Jericho at all. I'm just saying that it might have been more interesting to see a new face. Maybe that'll be in a couple of years. I don't know. Point is, I would have liked to see CM Punk take on someone who wasn't already established, But this will probably be a great match, and I will be eating my words. And if I've offended anyone by saying that I would have liked a better match, too bad. But Punk's going to retain. I can't see him dropping the title to anyone anytime soon. Although I really think that that WWE really dropped the ball on him on the storyline that they could have had with him last year after he left the company with, quote, left the company with the title. And he could have... He could have been, I think, the next Stone Cold. But the way things went, he just kind of faded into the background and then got in a pointless feud with Triple H, then got an even more pointless feud with Kevin Nash. Ugh. I almost threw up a little thinking about that. Ugh. But I'm really hoping that they'll give Punk more freedom than he has currently, I guess, which is really a lot. He has a lot of creative freedom to say whatever he wants, but I'd like to see him go back to that the pipe bomb thing. I like that. All right, then we've got. I'm guessing these are the two main events. That's how they're listed. First, we have Triple H taking on The Undertaker in a rematch of last year's match between the two. This match being a Hell in a Cell, with another added stipulation of Shawn Michaels being the guest referee. Now, here's what I wanted to talk about earlier, just a few minutes ago, actually. I honestly feel like... I'll get this out of the way first. The Undertaker's going to win. There's no question about that. What I would have liked to see this year, or, if The Undertaker has one more match in him next year, I really wanted to see him take on a younger talent. I mean, the last four WrestleManias, including this one, it's been Triple H twice and Shawn Michaels twice. These are guys, yes, they're established, yes, they're good, but these are guys who would not benefit from a match with The Undertaker, win or loss. And what I want to see is a younger generation guy face off against The Undertaker, and whether or not he wins or loses, he would benefit from just the experience of having a match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania. A guy like CM Punk, a guy like Cody Rhodes, a guy like Bryan Danielson. That's the match I wanted to see this year, was The Undertaker versus Bryan Danielson. And honestly, if there was one person in the world that I would be okay with The Undertaker losing to at WrestleMania, it would be Bryan Danielson. But not Daniel Bryan. Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon. I would be okay with him defeating The Undertaker at WrestleMania. I might also be okay... No, you know what? I wouldn't. I was going to say I might be okay with Claudio Castagnoli winning, but no, I wouldn't be. Because I've seen some of the stuff. Well, I've seen Claudio in FCW. And, you know what? I'm usually not one to get hung up on looks and that kind of thing. Yes, I am. Who am I kidding? But not like the way that Vince is. But Claudio just does not look like he used to on the Indies. Maybe I'm not gonna speculate. But Claudio just looks different. He looks smaller. He looks, I don't know. I'm really hoping that he'll move up to the roster, to the main roster. I'm really hoping that Chris Hero will move up to the main roster. Whether it's Raw or SmackDown, I don't care. I really want to see them together again, because I think that it would make... Okay, I'm really getting off topic, aren't I? Wow. Okay. I'm sorry, I just realized that. Holy crap. I'm like on 6 degrees away from this match. Okay. Point is, I would like to see The Undertaker taking on a guy who will be able to carry the company for the next 5 to 7 years. Not a guy who's going to retire after the match no matter what. So, Undertaker's going to win. He's going to go to 20-0. There's no question about that. If he has one more match next year, I would hope it's against a younger guy. I would hope it's against a guy like Dolph Ziggler, like Bryan Danielson, like I mentioned those guys. Not against one of the old guard. I would like to see the old versus the new. And I would like to see, if he loses to a younger guy like Dolph Ziggler, like Cody Rhodes, like all the guys I've mentioned before, I'd probably be okay with it at this point. Because if a young guy can beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania, it would pretty much make his career. He would be guaranteed success for the rest of his life. Because if he has nothing else, he can always say, I'm the guy who beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And I think that would be one of the biggest things that The Undertaker could give anyone. But he doesn't need to give it to a guy like Triple H. It's not necessary. So The Undertaker wins. End of story. And the final match on the card, I'm guessing probably the main event. I don't know. I'm shrugging, but you can't see that because this is audio. Main event, I guess, is John Cena versus The Rock. So, I've sort of been keeping tabs on this, not a lot, but just over the last month or so, I've been kind of tuning in to see the promos that Rock and Cena have been delivering. And I'm sure I'm not the first person to say this, and I probably won't be the last person to say this, but really, The Rock is a shell of his former self. His promos are... It feels like they're no longer off the cuff like they used to be. They're not improvised like they used to be. Maybe they are a little bit, but he seems like he's lost a step in the verbal department. He's not The Rock anymore. He's Dwayne The Rock Johnson. It's maybe the movies, maybe making movies has beaten it out of him. I don't know. But The Rock has been subpar on his promos, whereas John Cena has taken his promos to a completely new level that has just absolutely blown me away. And I've never been the biggest Cena fan, but I have always enjoyed his mic work. And his last month or so on the mic has been second to none. Quite honestly, he's been best. He's been the best in the company, no question. Better than Punk, better than Jericho, better than everyone. And I honestly cannot fathom The Rock winning this match after delivering such underwhelming promos over the last month or so. So it's probably going to be a good match. Although Rocky's getting up there in age, I think he's over 40 now, so he may have lost a step or two. But we'll see. I mean, I didn't watch his match at Survivor Series, so I don't know how he did, or whenever he had a match. I forget when it was, SummerSlam something. I don't know. He had a match sometime last year. I didn't see it. I don't know if he's still good in the ring. This will be his proving ground, I guess. I'm not expecting him to win. I'm expecting Cena to win, he's my pick, quite honestly. I'm hoping that this will be deserving of the main event, because the last couple of main events in WrestleMania have been kind of underwhelming. Okay, that's not completely true. Sorry, I'm looking back at the main events of WrestleMania. Like the Miz John Cena match was I guess 25. It was 26. I'm sorry. Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. It was a good match, but it was not as good as their match the year before. Wow, Triple H and Randy Orton at 25. I don't even remember that match. That should tell you how important of a match that was, I guess, or whether or not it was. But I really hope that this match can live up to the hype that it has had, as well as the 2 world title matches and Triple H Undertaker. This is actually the biggest problem for WrestleMania I see right now, at least for WrestleMania 28, is that you have 4 matches that could finish the show. And no matter which match actually ends up finishing the show, someone's going to be disappointed that the match that they think should be the main event was not the main event. Honestly, I think Triple H Undertaker should be the main event just because it's Hell in a Cell. It's going to be probably both of their last matches. And when you've got both the Hell in a Cell and Shawn Michaels involved as a special guest referee, that basically tells me it should be the main event. But I'm fairly certain Rock Cena is going to be the main event. And, I guess we'll just have to live with it. Triple H Undertaker. Well, no, the match I actually want to see most is Bryan Danielson versus Sheamus, quite honestly. But, I know that won't be the main event. I just hope that isn't the curtain jerker. I hope that is not the first match on the card. If it is, I'll just stew away for a while and then do this again in a year or something. I don't know. So, I suppose that's going to do it for my look forward to WrestleMania 28. I do want to talk about a couple of more things really briefly before we end this episode. First is that I'm very curious what's going to happen at the Hall of Fame ceremony, which I believe is actually today, on Saturday. Mostly just because I'm curious how the whole situation with the Four Horsemen, and specifically Ric Flair, is going to work out, because obviously this is the first time really that WWE and TNA have had to have an actual working relationship with each other, letting Ric Flair, who is still contracted with TNA, to go to the Hall of Fame ceremony and be inducted with the rest of the Four Horsemen. So it's an interesting situation, and something that I would really be interested to see how this turns out. I don't know when the Hall of Fame ceremony is. I probably won't watch it, but if I can catch some highlights or some replays or something, I definitely will, just because I'm really curious about how the Four Horsemen situation, the Ric Flair situation, will be handled. Second thing I want to talk about really quickly is that I know that it's been a long time since I've done one of these, and I haven't really gotten a chance to watch any of the Chikara shows that have been happening since High Noon, or since Joshi Mania, I guess, really. I've I've watched about half of their first show, and I wonder when or if they'll have King of Trios this year, because they've traditionally had it at the ECW Arena, but that thing is gone. So I'm wondering what they're going to do, if they're going to have their biggest show of the year or not. I'd be really, really disappointed if they didn't get a chance to use it. But I'm going to try to get back into the swing of things, because I haven't really been focusing very much. I haven't been watching much wrestling at all the last few months. So I'm really going to try to get back into that. And I'm going to try to start watching some more promotions. I'm going to try getting some PWG stuff. Maybe some, I don't know about Dragon Gate USA or Ring of Honor, but I'm going to try to find some more promotions to watch in the future. But that's actually in the future, because I actually have one more little thing that I want to talk about. And this is for everyone, not just for the people who want to listen to the Rantables podcast. Not that anyone who wouldn't want to listen to this would listen to it, but I'm letting everyone know now that this is going to be the last video thing of any type that I'm going to be putting up on this channel page for a while, for the foreseeable future. Real life has just kind of gotten in the way of the entertainment and the joy that I get out of doing these kinds of things, and I'm going to have to focus on that for a little while. So unfortunately, there won't be any more podcasts, there won't be any more Let's Plays for the foreseeable future. I was really hoping to be able to keep the Let's Play stuff going for, what I wanted to do was do a video a day for a year. Unfortunately, that just isn't going to happen due to reasons beyond my control, or actually completely under my control, but stuff that I kind of let out of hand. So unfortunately, I'm going to be taking a hiatus, but I'm sure that I will be back at some point in the future. I don't know when, but I will be back with podcasts and more stupid Let's Play videos. Which, by the way, if you ever get curious about that kind of stuff, just go watch it. It'll take a little bit of time out of your day, and you might get entertained by it. That's my hope anyway. So, thanks to everyone who's watched the videos, who's tuned in, who's listened to the podcast, and I suppose I will see you when I see you. Thanks for listening, and this is Legitimate Business, signing off.